This movie has a prince, princesses, kings, kingdoms, a feud, arranged marriages. I mean, I must admit, I'm a sucker when it comes to these Hallmark movies about royalty. Now, although it's a lifestyle that I personally might not want, but is there a woman out there that wouldn't want to be pursued by a prince? I wonder. Now, I must admit that at first, I did raise my eyebrow a bit when it came to the prince, because I didn't think that he was dashing enough. But you know what? He won me over. He really did. And the princess, she kind of reminds me of the Duchess of Wales, Kate Middleton. I wonder if she inspired them when they were making this movie. Who knows? So all of these little ingredients thrown in to create a recipe for a truly charming movie, The Royal We. So if you're curious to know how I use my imagination to tell and review this movie, or if you just want to sit back and relax and use your own imagination and fantasy as you follow along with me, then you know what to do. And that is, don't go anywhere.
When it comes to romantic movies, there's so much out there to choose. But if you follow your heart, the truth is, you can't really lose.
Now, B is played by the pretty actress Mallory Jansen. Our Crown Prince Desmond is played by the actor Charlie Carrick. So we start off this movie outside a beautiful castle where a prince and a princess, two royals, are standing up and taking their picture. Now there's a bit of confusion because the photographer says, "Your Royal Highness," and both of them answer because they are both Royal Highnesses. So they don't know which one the photographer wants to address. So the princess tells the photographer, seeing as they are both heirs to their respective thrones, it would cause a lot less confusion if they were just called by their names, Princess Coralina or Prince Desmond. Efficiency over protocol would just make things a lot easier. The advisor of Prince Desmond, he stands up and he addresses the media and he tells everyone that this is the merging of two kingdoms, the Vosgieres and Andovia, and the engagement of Princess Coralina and Prince Desmond. They hope that this union will help ease the centuries-old tension between them. Now it has to be said that for an engaged couple, these two royals, they do not look happy at all. They are looking everywhere but at each other. Prince Desmond looks as if he wished that he was anywhere but there. And Princess Coralina, she just looks bored, even as she shows off her engagement ring, a beautiful blue stone with diamonds around it. Now, in the next scene, we find out that Princess Coralina actually dumps Prince Desmond, and she has found somebody else. And guess what? He's a plumber. Everyone is horrified. You mean that she actually dumped a prince for a plumber? Now, to be honest, Prince Desmond, he's not really devastated because at the end of the day, as far as he's concerned, how could he really be upset about someone he's only met 2.5 times? And his advisor, Edwin, asks him, how can you meet someone half a time? And he says, I think we met somewhere online in video chat, something like that. The king, however, Prince Desmond's father, is furious. How dare she dump his son for a plumber, no less? Now they have to think about doing damage control because war cannot be a solution. Now Prince Desmond, he has an idea. Didn't Princess Coralina have a younger sister, Princess Beatrix? Maybe he could ask her to marry him instead. So these people have a conveyor belt of princesses that they can marry. I don't know, but it's crazy to me. But that's how it works there. Now his advisor, Edwin says, wouldn't it be a sacrifice for her to make? And Prince Desmond says, well, you know what? Not as big as a sacrifice as we would be asking our subjects to make if our fathers cannot put aside century-year-old grievances. In other words, the land that their families were fighting about years ago, they still can't let it go. Now we meet Princess Beatrix, otherwise known simply as B. She has been living a normal life in America, in Boston, and she is the younger sister of Princess Coralina. She works with her best friend Chloe, and they run a foundation that empowers underserved girls who want to have an education. Now with the marriage alliance threatened, Prince Desmond, along with his entourage, they fly all the way to Boston to try and meet B. They have called, they have sent emails, but she hasn't replied to any of it. Now she has a best friend and business partner called Chloe, and one day they're out and about going to work, and they see someone following them with binoculars. They are a little bit worried, but Princess B has a strong suspicion that it has something to do with her royalty. But anyway, the two friends trying to get away, they are followed by a black car. And as they enter into an alley, as they try to get away, one end is closed off by a black car and the other end is closed off by another car. Three men step out and they begin to speak to B in French. And they tell her that they are on an important diplomatic mission and that she has to come with them. She tells her friend Chloe that she has to go, but Chloe says no way is she going to allow her to be kidnapped by herself, so she's coming too. Now, as an aside, I have to say that Chloe, the sidekick, has got to be one of the most annoying sidekicks when it comes to these romantic movies. But you know what? I hope she gets better as the movie progresses, because I don't know how much I can take. I'm just saying. Inside the car, Chloe is a little bit taken aback and she asks B, what's up with all the accents? And B confesses and tells her who she is, that she is actually a princess. And Chloe wants to know, have you been pretending all this time? And B says, no, I am still your best friend, the woman that you have known all along. They get to the hotel where they meet Crown Prince Desmond of Androvia. And as they meet, you can tell that there's not a lot of feeling between them. The prince is a bit put out because he has been trying to contact her for the entire weekend, but she just kept ignoring his calls, and he tells her this, and she makes it quite plain. And you tried to contact me. It wasn't convenient for me to answer. So you can imagine that that did not go down very well. He takes the time to fly out to meet this arrogant princess, and she can't even be bothered to reply to his phone calls or answer an email, especially as he is trying his very best to get them out of what could be considered a very dire situation. He asks if they can speak alone. In other words, if she can get rid of Chloe. But she says no, she's not going to do that. They are clearly outnumbered. There are more of his men than there are of them. So no, Chloe stays exactly where she is. He goes on to talk to Bee about the centuries-old dispute, about Androvia and about Vestieri. And she stops him and she says, "Did you really invite me here to give me a history lesson about my country?" And he basically says, "Well, I don't know. You don't seem to really give a damn about your family. You've been away for 20 years. So maybe you do need a quick brush up." The prince then goes on to say that, well, maybe they wouldn't be there if her sister Carolina hadn't run off with, what was he again? A plumber? And Bee, she comes out with the best reply in the whole movie. She replies, "Well, you know what? It would be actually nice to have someone in the royal family with a useful skill." I love it. Now, despite the friction between them, Prince Desmond gets on one knee, opens up the box with the ring, and he tries to propose to Bee with the same ring that he gave to Princess Carolina. What is it with these Hallmark movies where they keep recycling wedding proposals and rings? I personally would want my own ring, I think. But then if the ring has history, debatable. What do you think? In this circumstance, would you want that ring that somebody else has had on their finger, or would you want your own personal ring? Leave a comment down below. I'm curious. Now, the two kings of the two kingdoms, they agree to a summit. Maybe they can come to some agreement, but unfortunately, this is just wishful thinking. They do not get on at all. It does not go well, and for the whole time, all they do is take jabs at each other and insult each other. So nope, it does not go well at all. Princess Bee is on the phone with her sister, Princess Carolina. And Bee tells her sister that the summit, it's a no-go. It's not happening. It just did not go well. Princess Carolina says she knows that she is the last person that can say anything after what she did. But if Bee could consider the proposal, it would help to go a long way to reuniting the two kingdoms. Bee thinks about it and she says, you know what? Yes, I can consider it, in the hopes, though, that we can find a better solution. Bee goes to Prince Desmond's hotel, and he has everything prepared, a nice romantic meal on the balcony. As soon as they get out onto the balcony, the prince, he drops to his knees again and tries to propose. She stops him and she says, you know what? It's not working for me. And the prince, he's a bit put out and he says, I thought you called because you were ready to accept my proposal. And she said, I am, but this is not what I want. It's not romantic. And the prince looks around and he says, there's food, there's candles. How much more romantic do you want it? Bee says that she wants to go to a restaurant. And the prince, he has no idea what that would even look like because he never goes and dines out. He's always in the palace. B wants to sneak out with him to go and eat a pizza. But the prince, he's a little bit scared because he's never done that before. What if someone recognizes him? And she says, well, you know what? You're not in your country now. No one's going to recognize you. And she convinces him to lie to his entourage, to his security, and to Edwin, his advisor. He puts on normal clothes and she helps him with his collar. And it's here for the first time that we see a little spark begin to sizzle between the prince and the princess. They find a nice little pizza place and they start getting to know each other over pizza and a beer. And the prince, he's really quite happy and he's taken aback because he thinks that the pizza is delicious. B then takes Prince Desmond bowling. And Prince Desmond, surprisingly, straight out the gate, he makes a strike. He does a little happy dance. He high fives. Later on though, he confesses that yes, he knows how to bowl. He told her that his great-grandfather, who wanted them to be modern in all things, he actually built a 2-lane bowling alley in the castle. And every time the prince felt down or he felt his royal duties were getting too heavy for him and he needed to escape for a while, he would find himself in the bowling alley. And that was his way to unwind. So yes, he did know how to play bowling. And so he was happy to show her that he wasn't that sheltered and spoilt after all. Because he knows how to do things too. He also tells her that she is not the only one that needed time to adjust. He needed that time too. And he also tells her that he really needed tonight. When they get back to the castle, they find out that everyone is in a tizzy. Everyone was worried that they had been kidnapped. Edwin tells the prince that they almost had an international incident, and he tells B off for taking the prince away. And here, I like it here, because the prince, he immediately stands up for B, and he tells Edwin, it's not her fault. I wanted to go, so leave her alone. It's just as much my fault. Edwin says, well, at this point, it's best if they just announce their engagement. Princess B gets a complete makeover. Her wardrobe, her hair, her makeup, everything. At the end result, she's a bit overwhelmed and she doesn't really feel that the look is her. But Edwin says, well, you know what? You've been away from royalty for over 20 years. But he's sure that there's a princess in there somewhere. The prince is waiting to take pictures with B. When she walks in, he smiles and his entire face lights up. He obviously likes what he sees. They stand close, they take pictures. What a stark contrast to the pictures he took with Princess Carolina. They look at each other. He takes her hand. They fly to Androvia, and Edwin tells her that he's organized a photo op so that she can try and win over the Androvians. She has to wear this long dress and shoes and walk down a flight of stairs and then take some pictures. And when she sees the dress, she fears that she might fall in it because it seemed a little bit too long. Now, as an aside, I know exactly how that feels. I myself was put in a long dress that I feared I might fall in. And if you want to know more about what happened, then check out my video, Is YouTube Driving Me Crazy? Anyway, as B walks down the stairs, she falls, but luckily, Prince Desmond, his reflexes, they work, and he catches her. If only. Social media is brutal, and they make fun of her clumsiness, and she even becomes a meme. B can't sleep, and she goes to the kitchen and has a chat with a friendly kitchen staff who tells her not to worry about the tabloids. They'll move on soon enough. While they're talking, the phone rings and it's Prince Desmond. He wants some tea brought up to him. B says that she will do it, and the woman in the kitchen, she's not really sure about that. You can't be having a princess carrying up tea to someone. And she says, why not? I am his fiancé, after all. Prince Desmond is surprised to see B in his bedroom. And she says, why? Everybody else can see you in your bedroom in your pajamas, and me, who am your fiancé, I can't? She asks him why he can't sleep. And he says, well, the weight of the situation and the responsibility of trying to get these two kingdoms to agree, it's weighing on him. And that's what's causing him not to be able to sleep. She tells him that she can't sleep because she feels that she's making a mess of things. She's always been that way, just a little off. That she's trying to better herself and she wants to be less than what she is naturally. Prince Desmond says that he wishes that she wouldn't do that. He likes the way she is. She could teach a class about authenticity. The prince and princess together, they greet the people who are waiting outside the palace gates. They even accept a flower from a little girl. B's entire family is there for the summit, and they all gather outside on the terrace and they're talking. And it's here that we meet Princess Carolina's husband, the plumber. And when we see him, we get it. Now we understand why she dumped Prince Desmond. Cody the plumber, he cute. Yeah, he's cute. We get it now. It all makes sense. The two families are at dinner and they share the same long table. The two kings are still looking at each other and scowling at each other. But Prince Desmond, he has eyes only for B. That night in bed, B, she's on her social media and she sees that her approval rate has gone up. People are starting to think now that her and Prince Desmond, that they're a cute couple and that there is chemistry between them. She sends a text to Prince Desmond and tells him that she can't sleep. He's to meet her at the top of the main stairs in 5 minutes. She takes a blanket, a quilt, and she goes and she waits for him. She takes him to a secret place on top of the roof. And remembering that he once told her that he was interested in astronomy, she wanted to watch the meteor shower with him. The prince is thrilled. They lie down on the quilt and they watch the shooting stars. To the prince, every time he sees one of these shooting stars, To him, it's the most beautiful. And to him, love must be like that. Even after many years, every time the person you love walks into the room, your heart skips a beat. B tells Prince Desmond that she's sorry that he had to settle for her. Her sister, Coralina, would have never tripped over her hem. He says that he's not sorry at all. He's sure that her sister would never have remembered a thrown away comment such as him liking astronomy and bringing him up there to see the shooting stars. For a moment, they almost kiss, but a shooting star interrupts the magic with a magic of its own. They fall asleep under the stars, and the next morning they try to sneak in without anybody seeing them. But guess who's there and sees them? Of course, the always present Edwin. He has a bit of an attitude with B. And Prince Desmond has to remind him that he's talking to his future queen. You get him, Prince Desmond. Protect your woman. At the engagement party, the kings continue the feud, and B is upset. She stops them with a whistle, and she is so annoyed that they are turning their celebration into yet another argument. She thinks that it's about time that the situation is resolved once and for all. So, drawing on her experience in conflict resolution from her foundation work, she takes an unprecedented step by intervening during the royal luncheon. Using her skills, she facilitates a breakthrough between the old kings, helping them recognize the craziness of their long-standing feud. She gets them to open up and talk through their feelings. So now the two countries are in agreement, and they will share the land that they were fighting over for so many years. The two kings sign a treaty that will benefit them both economically. So now with this new treaty, Prince Desmond has no longer need to marry Princess B. And you can see the disappointment on both of their faces. But Prince Desmond, he says the worst thing that he could possibly say. And he says to B, well, we really dodged a bullet there, didn't we? Can you imagine how she must have felt? She tells him that the next time he gives someone that ring, she hopes that it will be out of love and not because of political reasons. He says, Princess Beatrix, it has been an honor to meet you. And she says, likewise. He kisses her hand and then he walks away. And our poor Princess B is left standing there alone and teary-eyed. The Androvians leave the Vosgeris castle, and B is convinced that Prince Desmond is relieved to not to have to marry her. So she couldn't tell him how she feels and just pretended to be relieved too. But it doesn't sit well with the princess. She loves her prince. Chloe has an idea, and she gets a Vespa and she tells Princess B to get on, and they're going to try and reach the border before the Androvians do. That way B can stop Prince Desmond and tell him how she really feels. The prince is in his motorcade and he is deep in thought, because obviously he's in love too. Then out of the blue, he says, you know what, stop the car. He has to say it twice. Now people, listen to your prince. He said, stop the car. Everyone is happy. Everyone has gotten what they wanted apart from him. And in a true romantic movie fashion, the prince jumps out of the car and he starts running because he has to go and get back his woman. Yay! You go, Prince Desmond. We are all on your side. Now, to be honest, our Prince Desmond is a bit flat-footed and he doesn't have the best run in the world, but we don't care, do we? We are still going to cheer him on and we are still going to be on his side. Our prince is tired. He's been running for a while. He flags down a vehicle and he hitches a ride. Wouldn't you know, Chloe's Vespa runs out of petrol? So Princess B, she jumps off it and she starts running too because she has to go and get her man. So the two of them are running. Prince Desmond is running. Princess B is running. They are running. They are running. They are running until they finally meet each other. And they are both on the other side of the border. He tells her that he knows that last night he said that they dodged a bullet, but he doesn't want to dodge this particular bullet. He knows it's crazy because they haven't known each other very long, but he has never felt this way before in his life, and he is totally and utterly in love with her. She tells him that she feels exactly the same way. He takes out the good old faithful ring and he asks her, "Will you marry me?" She says yes, and they kiss. Now they are trying to arrange the seating for their wedding, but Princess B, she doesn't know all of these people. Who is Johnny Payne? But Johnny Payne, he is the heir to the Gloucester dukedom. And he has a +1, and his +1 is Prudence Thorpe. And then there's Prince Henry, who's going out with Princess Sweet Pea, who isn't really a princess, but she's a theme park princess. I mean, they have to find space for everybody. And Prince Desmond, he tells me that at the end of the day, if they run out of seating or of food or of anything, that the two of them, they can always run out to go and get a pizza. Now, there are a few things that happened in this movie, and there are a few takeaways that I personally got from this film. One is that Princess Coralina, she was true to herself. Yes, she could have made the sacrifice. She was in love with somebody else. Sometimes you have to make a choice, and it's not a popular choice, and not everyone will agree with you or like you for it. But she was strong enough to make that choice. And at the end of the day, the way that I see it, everyone is going to do what's best for them. So why shouldn't you? Prince Desmond, because of his royal upbringing, he had a rather sheltered life. He'd never snuck out before or gone to places, gone to restaurants or gone to have a pizza. He's never done anything like that before. He had always stuck to protocol. But you know what? With the right person beside you, sometimes breaking the rules can be fun. You have to have an open heart and you have to have a spirit of adventure. And sometimes, you know what? You just have to embrace the unknown. And sometimes we just have to let other people in. And if we do that, if we are able to open our hearts enough to do that, we will be amazed just how fulfilling and amazing our lives can be. Although it had been 20 years that B had been a part of the royal world, she was still able to step in and take on that role, but she never lost sight of who she was or who she had been for the past 20 years. Many of us, we take on roles and we think that we have to change. We get married, so we have to change. We have children, so we have to change. We get a new job, so we have to change. Now, of course, sometimes certain roles have certain etiquettes that we have to adapt to. But who we are, our authentic selves, should never be questioned. We should always be ourselves. And of course, because B was herself, that is what made Prince Desmond fall in love with her. When people see the authentic you, when people see how real you are, it's something that really attracts other people. Now, before we go, there's an Italian phrase that I think sums up this movie beautifully. And that phrase is, il primo amore non si scorda mai. Il primo amore non si scorda mai. You never forget your first love. Prince Desmond tells B that he had never felt this way before. So this sweet little Italian phrase sums up, I'm sure, the fact that he will never forget his love for B. So if you liked this movie review with a personal touch, then don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you get the chance to see this Hallmark movie, The Royal We, then definitely go and check it out. For more reviews like this one, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you're still here, thank you so much for hanging out with me. It was great seeing you. It always is. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. But until then, be kind to yourself and to others. Until the next time, ciao.